Hello there! Welcome to 10 advanced tips and tricks for the survival on the ice sheet in Rimworld. In this video, I'm going to guide you through all the things that I've learned during my struggles and adventures in the eternal ice. So we're going to cover various things. Timestamps are down below. I want to get started with one of the most important things, heat sources. So when you start out on this biome, of course, it'll look nothing like this. You won't start with a base, you'll basically start with nothing to be exact. So you have two options. Either you put up a room around you with the pilfered materials that you can easily gather by dislodging ruins, and put up a campfire in there and burn your precious wood. This is one of the things that you can do, and it brings you during the early game. That's okay. Another thing that you can do is you can put a room around a steam geyser. This is probably a good second project after bringing up a campfire, so you can get yourself a sustainable source of warmth without going through your resources. Because as you can see here, the indoors temperature is constantly in a degree where you can bear it, and this is pretty helpful. Another thing to note, double layered walls isolate better, so this way you can scratch out a little bit more of the warmth as well. And as a last thing before we move on over to the next point, one of the most important things during the early game is to research batteries, hydroponics. These two things are really mandatory, and batteries should be the first thing on your list. Because once you have batteries, you can easily just set up yourself some wind turbines, get yourself some batteries up and running, and get those heaters, which are the most reliable and fancy source of warmth. That being said, as a last word, a campfire is always worth having as a last resort because emergencies happen. Number two, wood is one of your most valuable resources out here. There's two problems. For one, you cannot grow wood in this biome. You just can't. It's permanent winter, stuff won't grow. Even if you'd be able to get some soil there growable, but trees don't grow beneath roofs, so either way you put it, it won't work. So you only can get yourself that wood by importing it. So whenever you see it on the bulk goods trader or any other merchant, it's totally worth grabbing these because it's one of the scarcest materials in this biome. Why is wood so important, you might ask yourself? For one, it's the only stuff you can use to get yourself warm if the power goes down. And that can be quite the difference between survival and death. And the other thing, some things in this game have to be done with wood. For example, braziers for your nobility people. They can only be fueled with wood. So if you plan on a nobility win or a high-ranking noble in this environment, you will have to have some spare wood, otherwise your lord will be very unhappy with his throne room. So either way, wood is valuable. Use it only if you have to and sparingly, and know that you can only grab it from traders reliably. Number three, I want to talk about food. This is one of the other big pressure points of this map. So as you see here, we got ourselves the hydroponics up and running, and this is after going for batteries, right? The next thing you should go for. After that, solar panels. Thing here is, until you get there, you will have to get your people through quite some time. So first off, kill off pretty much any animal that you can get in the wildlife. They are rare. Wildlife is a very rare good in these environments, and therefore whatever you can find here, kill it and preserve it. The good point here is due to the permanent winter, you don't need to build up any freezer. You can just shoot the animal, put it into a room, it'll be indefinitely preserved this way. But you should never let them run away, because the point is, this biome can be too cold for many animals, and this means they'll migrate on your map, and then after a day or two they will migrate off the map because it's too cold. Hunt them before they do that, because they are the only reliable source of meat that is ethically approved. Which brings me to the next point. I haven't had a successful run in this biome without resorting to eating my enemies and a couple of travelers during the early game. So my personal recommendation here is, if you have travelers from a tribal background, they are the perfect victims during the early game. And as you can see here, they're hostile to me until this very day because this very reason. Because, you will have to go through a hard time early on before you can get those hydroponics up and running. And this is probably your most important project after getting your heat up and running. You need to have a sustainable source of food, and this is the best way to achieve it. Until then, hunt everything you can get, eat everything you can get, and deal with the fallout later. Number 4, I want to cover problems that you will get in relation of traveling. So this biome here is a nightmare here. I'm living on a pretty much icy world, but whatever you do, you will not get far when you want to travel from one point to another. So caravaneering is pretty much hard deal. Sometimes if you are in a less harsh environment, it is okay, but a travel time of 3 days is a nightmare, and caravaneering is overall really, really dangerous in these environments. If you ever have to travel, my best go-to thing that I ever found were actually drop pods. So you can craft yourself your own transport pods, and this is the best way that I found to travel. Put up all the materials that you require for the way back into the transport pods, put your colonists in there, do your thing on the other side, and then build your transport pods and shoot back into the base. This was the only way to resolve some things in this campaign, for example, retrieving an AI core without freezing to death on the way there. So traveling is a tough thing in this environment. So number 5, outside is dangerous. So everything out here is really, really unbearably cold. Therefore, all the jobs that you put to the tab to get done out here are a risk for your people. Therefore, you really have to babysit your people a lot. Do they have some to do some mining? You have to babysit them. Do they have to do some construction out there? You have to babysit them. It doesn't stop anywhere, because it is really hard to have the necessary gear for everybody in your colony to be working outside. Therefore, my recommendation, your main constructor and all those people who are a lot outside, maybe your hunters, should have the best quality of gear so you can be sure that they have the capacity to run around out there without suffering from hypothermia after an hour or two. So, number 6 brings me right to the next point. I want to talk about summer. Sweet, sweet summer. Summer is a very important season on the ice sheet because it's basically the only season where you can get your people outside and get stuff done without suffering from frostbite left and right. The thing is, summer is typically the time in the year where the temperatures are around -10 to -20 Celsius. I mean, it depends on the world, but I'm talking about default settings here. So this means summer is the time to get stuff done. You should not let the summer pass by without noting that this is your opportunity for bigger building projects, mining projects, whatever. Summer is a good time even to travel if you ever have to. So, number 7, trading in the ice. It is going to be very, very unlikely during the most time that you will see any trading caravans. Most trading caravans will be arriving during the summer because that's the warmest period of the year. Therefore, I really highly recommend you to go as fast as you can towards the discovery of microelectronics so you can get yourself a comms console and orbital trade beacons, because orbital trade is much, much more reliable than stuff that will occasionally travel to your premises. And I've had it so many times that these guys even headed towards the base and then decide to, well, it's too cold here, we're gonna go with all that stuff, and they never reach my base. So orbital trading is the best way to go in my humble experience. Number 8, power. So, you might already have noticed that I have a stupid amount of power generation for this little small base here, you know? I'm actually over providing power by far. This is because this is your lifeline. Whenever power goes down in this biome, this is practically a death sentence. So, it's really important to stress out, you should always have components to repair your power production. Make sure that you either have means to produce them yourself or buy them whenever you can. Because when machines break down, well, if you don't have the components to replace the damage, you'll be in lots of trouble. And have a emergency campfire at your disposal. It's the best way to get yourself through emergencies when you just have the ability to say, all right, we'll be suffering through this, but at least we can light up some wood and stay alive with that. This is the best tip that I can give you in dealing with power outages. The emergency campfire somewhere is really, really a powerful thing. Number 9, the mood in the ice. So, one of the major problems that I ran into the longer I played in these environments were regular mental breakdowns. Because, two reasons. First off, the cold is constantly gnawing on the mood of people. Because, you know, cold makes them unhappy, duh. So that means you're prone to breakdowns already. Also, bases like these are usually one building, and this is one of the most efficient and easy ways to stay warm. But what does this also do? You get over the course of the time underground depression because you're always staying inside. That means you're also more prone to mental breakdowns. That is even intensified by the fact that a sad wonder, for example, can be deadly. If somebody goes outside there with minus 60 degrees Celsius and not being geared up for the task and going out for a sad wonder for a day or two, well, they won't make it without rescue. So that means get yourself ways and means to boost up the mood of your people as much as you can. It's very, very important here. Go for a more expensive carpet. Go for some recreative drugs, whatever it might be your solution to the problem. You can also go for higher quality foods once you have the capacity for that. But mood is one of the silent threats that you have constantly behind you in this environment, because the cold weather just makes the people pissed. It's just like that, and it'll never stop. Number 10, late game special issues. So, due to the fact that your biome is a very cold one, the enemies will adapt to that. This means by the end of the game, you will almost never face humanoid enemies anymore, and your late game will be mostly mechanoids. Because, you know, mechanoids, they don't care about heat or cold. They just do their thing, killing people, destroying bases, you know, the like. And therefore, they will be your main enemies even more than in other biomes because of this reason. Because storytellers won't fling anything into your direction that can survive here. So, mechanoids it'll be. So make sure that you have enough EMP, your base setup is prepared for that, armor penetration is also worth having, and it's really important that you prepare yourself for these things. Another thing that comes due to the fact that raiding is not happening too often are infestations. They happen more often in these environments than usual, so you should be also prepared for this by building choke points in your base, having chain shotguns, melee armor, and explosives at your disposal, or heat traps, whatever you like to destroy your infestations. You will face like a little bit more of them in these environments just due to the fact that the game cannot fling its full array of threats at you because of the biome. And that's that. I think there's, of course, more than 10 things to say about this biome, so feel free to leave your tips and tricks about your experiences here as well. And leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing, your help goes a long way. And of course, feel free to check out Patreon, PayPal, and buy me a coffee. As an independent content creator, I can't really use all the help that I can get, and I'd be delighted if you'd give them a look. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to get into touch with me and the community, there's a Discord server. There's a link down there below, so check it out if you'd wanna. I'd love to have a chat. So, thanks for your time, thanks for still hanging out here, and have a wonderful day.